back to another Swordmaster Publications presentation. My name is Ernie Lawrence. Today we're going to be studying Judges chapter 10. Judges chapter 10 is an interim period. We're going to have a little bit of a summary going into some of the things that Israel does in between Abimelech and then the next very controversial judge that we read about in the book. And we're going to spend some time on the next chapter. There's probably going to be a little bit longer video because of that controversy. But this one's going to be a fairly short video because it's very straightforward and there's just not a lot of controversy going on here. So let's go ahead and get started into Judges chapter 10. In verse 1 it says, "And after Abimelech there arose to defend Israel Tola, the son of Puah, the son of Dodo, a man of Issachar. And he dwelt in Shamir in Mount Ephraim." And so you have this listing of a couple of judges here at the beginning that they're going to reign after Abimelech. They come in, and these judges are not profound in the things that they do. They don't do anything of great significance or notoriety, but they do keep people on the right track. They come in and they make Israel follow after Yahweh. They keep people on the right track, and there's this general sense of Israel doing the right thing while these judges exist. And so they need that strong leader. They need that strong hand to guide them. And so that's what this Tola does. Then Jair that follows does the same thing. So it says Tola judged Israel 23 years and died and was buried in Shamir. And then after him rose Jair a Gileadite and judged Israel 22 years. So you have here a total of 45 years where the Israelites are doing what they're supposed to do under these judges. You have essentially a generation that passes. And Jair had 30 sons that rode on 30 ass colts, and they had 30 cities, which are called Havoth Jair. That just means the towns of Jair unto this day, which are in the land of Gilead. Now, unto this day is a phrase that indicates to us that whoever's writing this is writing sometime in the future after these events. So these events are not being recorded as we are reading about them. Like the time frame is not during this time. You don't have somebody like Joshua writing things down for Moses as they're wandering in the wilderness like you do with the Pentateuch. But this is something that was written afterwards. This is something that was penned after these events had taken place. And so you have this kind of nod to the time period in which the book of Judges is being written. Havoth Jair is what these towns are called even unto the time of the writing of this book. Now, we need to be careful because unto this day we could read that and say, well, that's what they're called unto our day here in 2024. But that's not what that means. Unto this day is unto the day that the writer is writing this book. And they are in the land of Gilead. And so Jair died and was buried in Kamon. And then the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of Yahweh, and served Balaam and Ashtaroth, and the gods of Syria, and the gods of Zidon, and the gods of Moab, and the gods of the children of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines, and forsook Yahweh, and served not him. So you have these two judges that come in, and for 45 years the Israelites are faithful to Yahweh. But when Jair dies, obviously his 30 sons aren't going to keep up with the tradition of their father. Either they weren't selected as judges, or maybe they were not as faithful as Jair himself was. But after Jair passes away, the children of Israel descend into idol worship again. And you can see here this desire that Israel constantly has to be like the nations around them, and the influence that these nations had on them. And so they leave service to Yahweh. They go off after these fake false gods of the surrounding nations. And it says the anger of Yahweh was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines and into the hands of the children of Ammon. So you have the Philistines over here on the coast in the Gaza area. You have the Ammonites over on the south east side of the land of promise. And so they're kind of being split up here, and you can imagine all of these nations that they're going after their gods, and so God hands them into the hand of these nations that they're trying to be like. He hands them over. You want to be like them? Fine. You get to be slaves in those nations. And it says that Yahweh, his anger was hot against Israel. How many times had he delivered him? And here they're going right back into the same old, same old. And so in verse 8 it says, in that year they vexed and oppressed the children of Israel 18 years, all the children of Israel that were on the other side of Jordan in the land of the Amorites, which is in Gilead. And so for 18 years, after they do the backsliding, God allows them to be taken over into servitude, to slavery to the Amorites, and they are enslaved for 18 years. And then it says, moreover, the children of Ammon passed over Jordan to fight also against Judah and against Benjamin and against the house of Ephraim, so that Israel was sore distressed. Again, this is the time where the kingdom is whole. You have one kingdom of Israel. We don't have two here. So Judah and Benjamin are still counted amongst that, along with Ephraim. And so the Amorites are taking some slaves in the land of Gilead. And then you also have Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim, which is kind of central south part of the promised land. Judah and Benjamin, remember, become part of that southern kingdom. So we're still dealing with kind of the southern portion, but Judah is really big, and so it takes up a very large part of that. And the Ammonites are the ones that are coming over, not the Amorites, but the Ammonites are coming over, and they're fighting against Judah and Benjamin and Ephraim. And so it says, the children of Israel cry out to Yahweh, saying, we have sinned against you, both because we have forsaken our God and served and also served Balaam. Remember, Balaam is just a generic name for the lords or the fake false gods, and Balaam is just the plural of that. And so Israel, continuing the cycle, they go after the fake false gods, thinking they're going to find prosperity. They end up finding nothing but misery, and so again they cry out to God. But God answers them differently this time. Okay, verse 11, and Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, did I not deliver you from the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, and from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines? The Zidonians also, and the Amalekites, and the Maonites did oppress you, and you cried to me, and I delivered you out of their hand. Yet you have forsaken me, and served other gods, wherefore I will deliver you no more. So, in his anger, he reminds them, how many times have I delivered you? Every time I deliver you, you go right back to doing the same thing. It doesn't take long, and you jump right back into doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. If I keep bailing you out, you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Why would I do that? Why would I come in and free you when you're just going to forget about me again and go off and serve other gods? And a reminder here, the law of Moses says that they're supposed to teach their children and their children's children every day, remind them of the things that Yahweh had done for them, brought them out of Egypt, crossing of the Red Sea, preserving them during the wilderness. And now on top of that, all of these things that every time they have rebelled and gone and served these false gods, God has come in and delivered them. And if they were teaching their children the way that they were supposed to, it would be a lot more difficult for the next generation to fall into the idol worship, because the parents would be there to say, why would you do that? Every time you've done that, every time we've done that as a nation, it's been bad for us, and God has had to come and deliver us. Why would you go back into that? And you would break that cycle that the Israelites find themselves in. And I think that the biggest problem that they have is the generation that is oppressed will come out and say, God, please help us, and then they'll come out of that, and then they'll live, and they'll have this time period of freedom of hey, yeah, we're worshiping God, we're doing what we're supposed to, and they'll get complacent. And when they get complacent, they fail to teach the next generation, and then it's the next generation that sees, oh, look at the prosperity over there. Look at all the things that they're getting. I'm gonna go worship those gods so I can take part in that. And because of that, that's where you end up having that cycle continues. And we deal with that cycle here. It's all over the internet. You can see there's a meme that talks about that, where you have good times breed weak men breed bad times breed strong men, and strong men breed good times. And it goes through this cycle constantly, because when we have good times, we become complacent and we don't fulfill our duty in teaching the next generation about God and about the blessings of serving Him and the consequences when we don't. And our own nation is suffering from that right now, where we have entered into a cycle where the complacency has had its toll, and now our nation is dealing with the consequences. We have weak people in power, and we are moving into that period of misery. And I pray that it's a short one. I pray that the strong men will step in, and I pray that I'm one of those stepping in and making a difference, and teaching people about serving after God and doing what is right is the only way that our nation is going to survive what's going on right now. And that Israel was dealing with the same thing, but God tells them, I'm not going to deliver you anymore. I'm done with you, and you can just suffer. He says in verse 14, go and cry unto the gods which you have chosen, and let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. So you want to go serve these fake false gods? Let them deliver you. Let them get you out of your misery. You think that there's something, I'm gonna leave it to them. Of course, Yahweh knows that they are nothing. They're sticks and stones. But He's fed up with them. You want to worship them? Appeal to them to get you out of your misery. This is, as the expression goes, this is your bed. You made it, now you got to lie in it. And so the children of Israel cry unto Yahweh again, we have sinned. Do whatever you want that seems good unto you, but please deliver us, we pray you this day. And so God has already said, I'm done with you. I'm not going to deliver you. And the Israelites up to this point have just been crying out. They've just been expressing their faith that Yahweh can do what they need Him to do, that He is able to deliver them. They've said that, they believe that, but God has said, your faith isn't enough. Your words are not enough. And so we see here what we see throughout the Old Testament is that their actions had to follow their belief. Yes, they cried unto Yahweh and said, please deliver us. And Yahweh's like, why? What have you done that makes me think things are going to be any different? And so it isn't until verse 16 that we start to see some changes happening. And they put away the strange gods from among them and served Yahweh, and His soul was grieved for the misery of Israel. So when they come along and they put away the strange gods, they repent, they make the changes in their own lives first, then Yahweh says, okay, now I see that this is a people that is truly penitent and wanting to do what's right. And so now we're going to see a switch as we transition into the next chapter. So He's grieved for the misery of Israel. Then the children of Ammon were gathered together and encamped in Gilead. And the children of Israel assembled themselves together and encamped in Mizpah. So you've got this battle array set up. You have this idea of, well, God has said He's not going to do anything, but the children of Israel have now put away the strange gods, and they have started back into serving Yahweh. And so this battle is being set up. And the people and princes of Gilead said unto one another, What man is he that will begin to fight against the children of Ammon? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. And so they're now set up, and they're ready to fight against the Ammonites who've invaded. And they're saying, all right, who's going to lead us? Who's going to step up? Because they're used to judges, they're used to a deliverer, and so they're looking for one person to come in and take those reins of leadership. They need another Moses, they need another Joshua, they need another person to step in and be the type of person that they've come to expect to lead them. Not quite a king yet, but somebody, a judge that's going to step up and be the one person who leads them in this time of stress and of conflict. And so we're going to get into the next chapter, and we're going to talk about Jephthah and the controversy that surrounds him. So be prepared for that when we get into the next chapter. Again, it's probably going to be a fairly long one, because we not only have to deal with the historical events that took place, but we also have to deal with the doctrinal implications. And it's one of those controversial things that some people read, and because they don't understand it, it drives them away from the God of the Bible. And you find a lot of things that are on the internet that, people attacking Christianity, people attacking the Bible. They'll come to this story in Judges, and they'll try to use that as evidence against God being a good God. So that'll be next time. But this has been our study here in Judges chapter 10. Again, a very short lesson, not anything too complex, but setting the stage for Judges chapter 11, which is going to be pretty rough. So thank you for joining me. And as always, I look forward to any discussions you might have out there on social media, whether it be YouTube or Facebook or whatever. I always enjoy those questions and those discussions. So look forward to that. But until then, this has been another Swordmaster publication presentation. And again, my name is Ernie Lawrence. You have a wonderful day.